Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to today's video. It's been quite a week here in specifically the US after our election. I have a one-word response, and that is flabbergasted. That's my reaction. So I'll leave it there. But in the midst of all that, I had an extra day of a holiday from teaching. November 11th is Veterans Day in the US, so I went to Pike Place Market to go make some photos. So one of the cool things about that, I was able to meet a friend of mine. His name's David Inman. I've met him before to do some street photos. I'll leave a link to his Instagram accounts. He does both wildlife and street photography with multiple different camera systems. So I hope you follow along on his adventures. But one of the cool things about this is I had such a good time making photos, I completely forgot to make any video. So there's no B-roll video showing scenes and whatnot. You'll just have to rely on my narration as well as the photos to tell that story. If you've never been to Pike Place Market, it's pretty cool. It is a destination for a reason, and especially for photos, it is a really, really rich environment for creating photos. It's dense, it's crowded. There's lots of cool visuals of people, of textures, of all the different things. It's just really, really quite amazing. And as you could probably tell by my face, I had a really good time doing that. And in fact, I didn't count this, but it feels like I saw more photo opportunities of people doing interesting things in the couple hours I was there. I think it was 3 or 4 hours I was there than I usually see in a month of doing photos in downtown Bellevue. The density helps. Just a different environment helps. The fact that people are generally more tourist or they're doing specific work also helps. Here's an example of what I mean. You're in this very crowded shopping environment, and versus downtown Bellevue, where if you're across the street from someone, you might have 4 to 6 lanes of traffic between you and them. Even if you're walking in the same direction or notice someone, you might be 50 to 100 feet away, maybe 20 feet at the closest. Here, you're maybe 5 feet away, 3 feet away, 10 feet away. So it totally changes the intimacy of the photos, the intimacy of the experience, and just the opportunities are just really spectacular. Before I jump into the photos, I forgot to mention what gear I took with. So first of all, I had the Fujifilm X-H2S as my camera. The mostly prime lenses is what I use for the day. I use the Fujifilm XF 33mm 1.4, the Viltrox 56mm 1.7, just a little more reach than the 50mm Fujifilm f2. And then I also had the 16 to 80 just in case I needed something wide, the Fujifilm 16 to 80 f4 for wide. And I also brought the Fujifilm 90mm f2. I love that lens. Anyway, so off to the photos now. Here we go. So start off with this photo, and I like starting here because it gives a good sense of overall what happens when you photograph at the market. Oftentimes there's windows to look through. It's tight spaces, and I think this photo does a nice job of giving a sense of that there's these working environments are very compact. This is photographed with the Viltrox 56mm, and you get a bonus on the left-hand side of this frame of me being reflected in the window there. I enjoy watching people at work, and it's really fun when you can photograph them and they're not aware of you photographing them. They're so intent on their work that they're very casual and candid, and you can get hopefully a really fun photo. Another worker, this one at one of the fish stalls, she was talking to a customer, and I used these two vertical elements to frame her. And again, a lot of negative space here, but that helps you focus on the person in the midst of the crowd and the busyness. That's one of the things I try and do in my photos at the market is find individuals or small groups in the midst of a crowd, and using framing elements can really help do that. One of the things I really enjoy at the market are all the signs, especially the neon type signs and the way they glow because it's all inside. It's relatively dark in the market, so you get all these interesting reflections and glow. And one of the things that I enjoy is the way the camera sees that differently than my eyes. So this has got a different look to it completely than what it looks like when you're standing there, and I really, really like that. In my perfect world, this gentleman would have been walking right down the middle, but he didn't, so this is the photo I got. Another person doing work, I really like how this ended up being kind of monochrome. Her hair, her clothing, and the surrounding stuff is all pretty much one color. I got a little element of blue at the bottom. I think if I was re-editing this, I would probably pull down the saturation of the blue so it's not so obvious. But I really like the monochrome look of this. It's kind of a fun gift in this photo. Again, using framing elements to hide clutter, concentrate on the human in this photo, the person here. Another person doing some work, this lady in one of the cinnamon roll shops with lots of big equipment, and she's just making a small batch of something. I really like that. I like the personality of her apron there. All the little detail elements, the whiteboard on the wall and the markers and the handwritten note on the oven behind her and the stacks of pans. Just a lot of little elements here going on to make it very specific. But also it can be, almost any place where people do cooking, which is kind of fun. Donuts. I had some donuts. My favorite donut place was closed. This one was still pretty good. The powdered donuts were quite yummy. It's just because I like donuts. That's why you're seeing this photo. Another lady doing some work. This one's got some window light from outside coming in, so you get some neat contrast here. Could be kind of a quiet scene, quiet light from the cloudy day. Surprise in November that it was cloudy in Seattle. But again, the person who's concentrating on their job, I'm relatively close to her, maybe 6, 7 feet. And this lens gives nice, even more compression a little bit to make me feel even a little bit closer. So I like the sense of intimacy you get in the market. You feel like you're connected to your subject. And it's just a fun place to photograph, and I hope this photo shows that. This photo from a distance of one of the restaurants, some waitress taking a order of a couple people. They're in the window light and get a little bit of light on their faces, some rim light. I underexposed this on purpose. I like the little bit of sign of the bar, the leading line of the bar itself to the back. All the little elements here kind of line up hopefully nicely in this photo. This lady at one of the flower stalls, working with some lavender, lots of purple elements. Again, I don't know that I noticed this intentionally when I was making the photo, but I like how it's kind of one color palette here of the dominance of the purple as there was earlier in the photo with kind of those tan and creamy colors. In some ways, it becomes a little monochrome, which I kind of like. I think it helps simplify the scene and helps you see the subject more clearly. Backlit person in front of a window looking out over Puget Sound, which is kind of neat. The market has some really cool viewpoints and vistas to see and enjoy and relax and chill. It's just such a neat space at the market that there's so many ways you could just dash in quickly, or you could spend a lot longer time and relax and just have a more casual day at the market. Another worker with framing elements in one, I think this is a butcher shop or someone doing some butchering type things. Again, using a couple framing elements, looking through a window to photograph this one person. Again, giving, I hope, enough context to what's going on. You get to see some of the equipment, the pots above her, but you're using those framing elements hide some of the other potentially visually distracting elements to help you see the subject more clearly. Again, using framing here with the 33, this family eating at, again, there's lots of layers at the market. So this is a layer or two below a sidewalk, and there's a sign, a rail above it that says something about parking. So I wanted to have that a little bit in focus. Again, we've got a little bit of monochrome action going on here. There's lots of greens in the clothing and a little bit of orange, but yeah, kind of complementary colors. They work nicely together. And it's a neat little vignette of a family scene, eating some lunch and taking a break. These three ladies sitting on a bench, eating some ice cream. You can see how steep the hill is when you go from west to east. North to south in Seattle is pretty flat, but west to east is east to west, I should say, is a pretty steep hill in a lot of places. So you get a little sense of that. Again, using some plants as a framing element in the foreground to help concentrate on the folks on the bench. One of the things I like at the market is there's so much wildlife. There's birds get lots of snacks here. So this starling was really, really close to me. I think maybe 3 or 4 feet away, and not afraid at all, and just hanging out on this ledge. And I made a few photos, and I really like this one the best. Sometimes people do notice you, and sometimes they frown at you when they notice you. But this lady was really happy, and she waved. I waved back, so that was kind of fun. It's neat to see again people enjoying their work, enjoying interacting with other people. I'm really glad she wasn't upset that I was making photos, and she participated and sent a wave my way and gave me a big smile. So that was a nice gift. So this photo is completely different mood to me. Again, photographed through a window of a person at a lunch counter, and there is so much going on just in her hands. The way she's gripping her hands, it feels very tense. She's wearing sunglasses inside. It's not real bright here. I wonder what's going on. There's somewhat of a story here. You know, each of us might make a different story about what this lady's thinking about. And I really like photos like that, where each of us can bring our own experience to interpreting what this photo might be saying. So I like the moodiness of looking through the window, the diffusion of that, the mystery of that. Yeah, again, this photo was just a neat little gift, hopefully, of a moment that I framed in a way that hopefully leaves it open to interpretation for each person looking at it. And everybody's on their phones. Of course, this is just opposite of that lady. So same lunch counter. This space is maybe 15 feet wide, 10 feet wide. This person's waiting for his food, reading his phone. Again, there's just something a little neat about his face. There's a neat little gesture moment, like he's wondering about what he's reading or thinking about something about it. And those are fun gifts when you can photograph those and preserve those moments on camera. This gentleman at one of the stalls selling flowers, but he's on his electronic device watching a music video of some kind. I don't know if he's learning music or listening to music or what, but kind of a neat moment, I hope. One of the things I like about the 90 millimeter is it's just such a fun lens to photograph with for the way I like to photograph, because it really helps separate the subject from everything else. This scene is pretty busy. You can see there's lots going on in the background, lots of potential, again, visual distraction if that was more in focus. So the 90 millimeter is a big win in this kind of situation for me. Talk about dense stores. This jewelry store on one of the lower levels, and this gentleman looking at a piece of jewelry. I'm looking through a window. Again, there's that little bit of diffusion through the window, and get a sense of how small and tight and compact and crowded this space is. And there's just a little face kind of floating there. I really, really like this photo. Again, the 90 millimeter helps bring attention to the face by making the other elements a little less in focus, I hope. But a neat little scene of this gentleman in his shop, and the absolute density of all the things going on in this space. The gum wall, if you know about Pike Place Market, you can see there's a wall on the right-hand side with some gum still on it. So people stick their gum on the wall and it becomes the gum wall. Every once in a while they clean it. This was cleaning day. So these folks have the unenviable task of pressure washing it off, and then all the gum off, and then shoveling it into bags and taking it away. So it was closed for the day, but got this photo of these folks doing some work. This photo is one of my favorites from the day, for lots of reasons, but one is I'm always been envious when I see street photos, usually from London, in the winter, where they have all these steamy windows, so you get these more abstract images of people. So this person at serving some food, the steam from the food is on the window in front of her, so you get a little bit of that steam look. Again, with the 90 millimeter, using some framing elements to, again, simplify the scene and help focus on this thing that I want you to see, this person serving food. So I got some steamy windows in Seattle. I'm kind of excited. This photo, a little bit of a story here. This gentleman was doing making balloon animals, especially for kids, but he was sitting still for quite a while. And my friend David mentioned, hey, since he's sitting still, let's maybe try a longer exposure to blur motion of people walking by. So this is a photo I'm showing you. It's not a great photo because there's a trash can at the bottom that I didn't even see. But that's the lesson for me to remember when you're trying techniques, you still have to pay attention to the simple basic stuff of composition and including things in the photo that you want to be there and excluding things you don't. I do like the motion in the photos on the left-hand side. And I like how he's just oblivious to all. It's kind of a neat feeling in that, but yeah, trash can at the bottom, not my favorite thing. This photo has a story because there's going to be another photo from the same location. And the story is make notes for yourself as you're making photos and think about places you want to return to. So this was very early in the day. Uh, Photographing through these chairs, again using framing. That's my theme for today. But there was nobody walking around when I was there. So I thought I'll come back later in the day, and here's that photo with the 90 millimeter. So a little tighter, getting a couple people in the frame here, and I like the way this looks. I'm glad I came back. But sometimes the 90 millimeter is not the right lens. I wish I had a little wider lens here, but I knew this moment wasn't going to last, so I went ahead and photographed it. And I'm sharing that here as I tend to do is to share the lessons I'm learning as I'm doing these photos. Sometimes the lens you have when you're using primes, you need to be more aware of where you need to be in the photo to get the composition you want. In this photo, I wish I had a little more context, a little more of the store she's in. It feels like it's almost a crop photo, that it almost has that look rather than straight out of camera at the focal length that the photo was made. So there's something a little off about it. Even though I like this moment, it just doesn't feel holistically as a photo I would want to use in the future. But I did want to share it as a lesson learned, which leads me to the next photo, which is I'm glad I had the 90. It was the perfect lens for this. I had this lady was smiling at something she was looking at in the store, and I knew it was going to be a brief moment, but the 90 helped me again create a more intimate scene of just her using the framing elements of the stuff around the window I was looking through to see her face, her smile, and minimize other visual distractions. So I went literally from that photo I don't like with the 90 to this photo, which I quite like, and it looks great with the 90. So give and take a little bit with when you're using primes, especially in tight places like the market, where you never know what situation you're going to be up against next. So you have to make do, and sometimes the lens you have on will be the right one, and sometimes it won't. Did have a moment here to change lenses. Went to the 33 millimeter to get a wider scene, include a bunch of negative space as I'm looking through this doorway of this person in a restaurant, just waiting for their food. So it's a simple scene, the right lens, right composition. Hopefully, I like the way this looks. And again, it gives a sense of hopefully some of the personality and all the different kinds of spaces that are in the market. One of the things that's in the market a lot of, I've already mentioned, are all the neon lights, the glow you get. I'm just such a big fan of that. I like them graphically. I like the color. I like the glow, all that stuff. Again, it looks different through the camera than it does to the eye, and I love finding photos like this. And then last photo here is from outside the market, obviously. Uh, I had an intention to go get a new winter jacket at the Patagonia store. So as I was walking up the hill just a little bit, a block and a half, I think, to the west, turned around and saw a ferry was sailing past and made this photo. There's a neat little moment I didn't notice when I was making the photo. There's a seagull above the P in the public market sign. And there's also, I think, a crow or something landing on the street light to the right below the ferry. So very Northwest scene, kind of fun moment. I didn't expect it to happen, but again, that's what street photography is often all about, is being prepared and open to unexpected moments that you didn't think would be happening. So that's my photos from Pike Place Market. I had a really good time. These are about half the photos I edited, so I didn't want to bore you to tears. If you have thoughts, comments, suggestions on these photos, as always, I would welcome a conversation with you about that. If you've ever had opportunity to photograph the market and want to share links to your photos, please leave that in the comments below. It's always fun to see how different people experience the same space and what they notice and what we can learn from that. So, again, love to get a conversation with you about what you've experienced at the market, or if you have a local market that you photographed or other places that are maybe similar. Again, if you want to share any links, I'd be glad to have that down below. So here ends this video. I have plans in the next week or so to do some night photography, as I have promised almost all year. Hope the weather cooperates, so stay tuned for that. I'm not sure exactly when that video will be live, as we have the Thanksgiving holiday coming up in the US, so stay tuned for more info. As always, I hope you're doing well, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. So until that next video, I hope you stay safe, stay well, and have fun creating photos. Bye for now.